Hey everybody, I want to firstly say a big thank you for the last video, for all the likes and the comments. Really appreciate it. Really want to try and get as much feedback from fellow Hind pilots and fellow DCS pilots and other sim pilots as well. It's the whole point of this channel is to get everyone together. So today we're in the Hind again, flying on the Shadow Reapers virtual squadron server. It's a pretty interesting server. You're going to find yourself doing a lot of long flying or long time up in the air compared to other servers that I've experienced, especially in the helos. And today is going to be a little bit different, a little bit less shooting, a little bit more of just understanding the heli a bit more, especially at high altitudes. As you can see, taking a look at the ice protection system, putting on the air conditioning for Petrovich, to make sure that he stays nice and toasty, get it up to a nice little good temperature, just messing around with the test system, seeing exactly how that works. Still a lot of the things in the Hind, still getting to grips to, switching on the heating for the battery as well, and also just messing around with all the buttons in the Hind, seeing how everything works. I think that's one of the things you find out with DCS is every day is a bit of a learning lesson, and you find out new things about the thing that you're flying. You can read through the manual until your brain burns out, but there's still a lot of things that you need to understand. So as you can see, we are aiming for those mountains up ahead of us, so just trying to keep a steady speed up in the heli, and also just keep a nice climb rate so we don't burn off too much speed. You will notice that the higher we get, obviously the air becomes a little bit thinner, and you'll find that the engines are working a little bit harder, and also the contact with the rotors in the air becomes a little bit less. So trying to get to Lima, we have quite a bit of a distance to get up there, so just trying to plan the route a little bit, but the whole purpose of today is just to give you a good idea of how the heli acts in high altitudes. The service ceiling of the Hind is roughly at about 3,000 meters. So you wanting to keep the heli at a nice steady speed, to make sure that you don't fall out of the sky like a concrete brick, because you will see that will happen. So we have a bit of icing, so start to turn on the heating, the engine anti-ice, and as you can see, the power reduces substantially, and this is a major factor when you are still trying to keep up your speed through these mountain ranges at a high altitude. So you're just wanting to keep that speed up, but at the same time you want to make sure that your climb rate is still okay. The EWS is pinging like, how can I explain it? It gets a bit irritating. You can switch it off with the sound, but I have a tendency to keep it on, because I have had a few instances where you have a nice big surprise of a jet coming out of nowhere, and you need to bomb yourself out of the sky and get out of there as fast as you possibly can. So turning a bit to the right, you can see, okay, well, I'm not at the right altitude to get over to that mountain range. I see a nice gap here on the right, so I can carry on increasing my altitude. I'm just wanting to keep a very short distance between me and the objective, so I'm going to try and pick all the high peaks just to experiment a little bit more, and also it just takes up a little bit less time. So just speeding up a little bit so I don't bore you to death. As you can see, we're getting up to this mountain range over here, and I'll see, okay, well, I don't want to go right to the top of that little peak over there, so we'll aim over to the right. and then we jump over to when we get around that mountain. We can see, okay, this is our first mountain range. Do we have the altitude? Yeah, we got the altitude. I can switch on the engine anti-ice, I have no issue. I know that I've got enough speed, I have enough altitude. I don't think we'll have much of a problem getting over this range. One of the interesting things with DCS is I think they have modeled in winds quite a bit, and you can see that when you have a few factors of not only the altitude you're at, but when the wind starts hitting you as well, it reduces your speed and has a tendency to, reduce the amount of tail rotor effectiveness and overall rotor effectiveness, and you can find yourself in a bit of a tricky situation sometimes. But we got enough space on the left, enough space on the right. You get to a certain point of this mountain range, if you do start losing power, at least you can dip down and start increasing your speed to start creating some lift just to protect yourself. I will say this server is a bit laggy. Like as you can see, I'm getting 30 frame rates over there. Some instances I'm getting 18 frame rates. I got to kind of pick around on the graphics, because weirdly enough on some servers it's totally fine. I'll be averaging well over 40 to 50 frame rates. But on this server, I'm not too sure if it's with all the assets that they have on the server that it just makes it a bit more laggy, or with the amount of players on the server. Because if I remember correctly, I think you can have about 112, 114 people on the server. So you can see the next point. I am starting to angle the heli to that mountain range in front of us, and also what you need to do is plan, keep ahead. Look at that mountain range. Oh, well, there's another mountain range behind that, and it's substantially higher. So, am I going to be able to make over it? So, being a little bit overconfident here, just thinking, don't worry, I'm going to make it, and just keep on flying on. But as you can see, our speed, losing a lot of speed at the moment because of the altitude that we're at, and then also some of the winds that we have in the area, and that is just factored in with the engine anti-icing as well, which substantially decreases the speed. You can see on the bottom left the RPM is sitting at about 85%. So when you start dropping below 85%, you start losing generation, which means you start losing power to the rest of the aircraft, and in many instances you have your trim that just resets itself, and you start falling out of the sky. So hopefully that does not happen. So just trimming out the heli a little bit, making sure that the trims are on at the moment. I will say that another thing is just sorting out the control settings a little bit more, because it's still overly sensitive. You have even put the sensitivity on about 1 or 2%, and it's still, this heli has a tendency to flinch around quite a lot. So as you can see, I'm not getting enough speed, can't gain enough altitude. We're getting to that service ceiling behind. The altimeter is saying just below 3,000 meters, but I don't think I've set the altimeter's QNH properly. And I'm still trying to pick the heli up, trying to see if I can get some more power. I'm trying to not pull the collective up too much, because then we'll lose RPMs, and then we'll lose electricity / power to the heli. So I'm starting to get a good idea over here that we might not make it. Probably will not make it. Don't have enough speed. I'm getting substantially slow. We can't climb. I'm losing more speed. Still trying to be a little bit overzealous here. see the RPMs. So yeah, we're definitely burning 90% there. Still no factor. No, I'm not going to make it. Let's get out of here. I have enough space on the right. Pulled myself out of here. Started increasing the speed a bit. Dropped down a bit. Try and get some more lift in those rotors. That's the one thing you always want to do. Have a bit of an action plan. Always make sure you know, like dead straight in the middle. Make sure you have a bit of space on the left or the right, so we do need to turn out of it. This heady does prefer to turn to the left because of the tails rotor and the way that it blows. But you know, we had enough tail rotor effectiveness, you know, to swing it over to the right. So I'm just keeping up the speed, hug the mountain, try and use a bit of ground effect if we could. So we now at a nice good speed, stabilize the aircraft, and let's find another route. So engine anti-housing's gone, switch the anti-housing off, gives us more power to the engines now. You can see how much of a difference that makes. Now it feels like you can just power out of anything now. I'm taking a bit of a look, trying to find, okay, well, what is the best place for us to go? Obviously in front of us, we're way too high. We're not going to be able to reach over that. Yep, the left looks good. Might be our best option. So just lifting up the collective a bit more, knowing I have more engine power, you know, turn the angle of those rotors to a much higher angle. And you know, we've got enough speed. You know, I could ideally take the left, that would be a better option, but just want to see how far I can push the heli. Good speed, good angle, good climb. Pick up the nose a little bit more here. Got enough speed to do that. There we are, losing speed pretty quick now. And we're about to hit over. And we're losing tail rotor effectiveness now. See about our drift angle. Going to have to drop the collective a bit. Push the rod all the way to the right. Double checking the AP. Looked beautiful at the start, it became extremely messy. Now we also have icing again. So I'm not sure if that was down to the altitude we're at or if there was a change in wind direction, but we lost tail rotor effectiveness very quickly over there. So you know, I could drop down, but you know, I was able to stabilize the aircraft back again, pick up the speed again, get a bit of a climb again. So you know, in the Hind, it's a pretty interesting aircraft at a high altitude, especially in the mountain ranges. You know, it likes to stay low. So switch the engine heating back on. Reduce the de-icing, or reduce the icing. taking a quick look at the map. Where do we have to go? So, getting to Lima over there. See, we need to dip into that valley a little bit. So I'll just keep a nice altitude for now. We'll start dipping down in a bit. I think that's one of the fun things about DCS is, you know, you get to, you know, test as much as you want what you can do with the heli. Here I'm just thinking, okay, do we have any air support? You know, are there going to be any enemy jets in the area? You can see we have a lot of jets up in the sky, so we don't have to worry too much. It's one of the worst things about being a heli pilot is getting surprised by a jet. And you just find yourself running. So, Lima's our place to go. So, start dipping into this valley, get down to Lima. We're going to be dropping off some troops to capture this target. So this target's been quite recently bombed, and a few fighter jets and helis have taken all the ground targets, and what you need to do is basically drop some capture squads so they can capture the objective. So, you know, the only pilots that can do that are the heli pilots. So you find yourself doing these nice valley runs. So we're picking up the speed quite a lot, you know, just trying to reduce the speed, trying to not get it over to 32, 33. Switch off the ice protection so we can get that engine power back. Also gives you more control over the aircraft, which is nice. Now we're just going to drop down into this valley. Just double checking how I am going in the right area. So, don't know if I need to go left or right, but I'll have to look at the map, but I know I need to go right, so I'll be fine. And just picking up that nose, lift the collective a little bit, reduce that speed, let the rotors do the job of slowing you down. Objective should be up on 12 o'clock in a little bit. One of the things I enjoy doing the most, just doing these little valley runs. Feels like it's a reason why you want to fly helicopters. Really go low down, have fun, and actually enjoy the experience a little bit. Think of the fighter jets, you're over done with much quicker than you think, and mountains approach you quicker than you think. So there's the objective below us. It's double checking that is Lima. So just took a left over there. We're going to take a bit of a tight left turn. Ideally you want to have a bit of a longer loop around, but I kind of know the limits to a degree with this heli, so I know I can spin it around, do a little J-turn. But you don't necessarily want to do that, and I got myself in a bit of a hover. Lifted the collective a little bit too much, a little bit too early. So just taking a look where we're going to land. We're going to choose the river. Either side of that river looks good, so we'll do a 2-circle. And just reduce the altitude of the heli, keep the speed controlled. And you don't have to come in here like a batshit overhaul. So losing a bit of tail rotor effectiveness over there as well. we're cutting the corners a little bit too tight, expecting the head a little bit too much power out of the heli, and then that's what happens.
Outstanding performance. The enemy's hold on Kislovodsk is no more. Our capture squad must secure it entirely. Safeguard our ground and air convoys to ensure a successful capture.
So, going a little bit too quick, a little bit too jolty. I'm trying to control the heli a little bit more. You can see the heli is starting to fall out of the sky. Pull that collected back up. When it starts vibrating like that, it's never a good thing. So we have a bit of ground effect, that should keep us stabilized. And now we've got the
nicely
roll
done.
Factor.
We've liberated Mineral 9 from enemy control. Our capture squad needs to secure it completely. Please escort our ground and air convoys for a thorough capture.
Now we're back in the ground effect. Slowly put it down, but now we're using a bit of the tail rotor. Rudders are being a little bit overly sensitive. Got it down, just roll it in, but we're at an angle. Need to kind of keep a bit to the left stick over there. Try to angle us right. A little bit of a rough landing. Put in that handbrake. And then there we are. So all we need to do now is engage the brake. And we can start unboarding these guys. So the interesting thing over here is you actually have to open the doors to unload the infantry, and in the high end you can do that with Control Shift and C. So now the troops are out. I've got some XP points which the server provides you with, like a promotion, and you have also assets you can use, quite similar to the Enigma server as well. So let's get out of here. Our guys are all safe and sound on the ground. Slowly lift her up, get that collective. Just remember that we're at a bit of an angle on the slope over here. So just keep an eye on the artificial horizon. Make sure you can keep it a little bit level. Turn the heli around. Get those gears lifted up. And out we go.
Congratulations.
So,
we've secured Lima entirely, and friendly units can now operate
get a
from
bit
the
of an
base.
understanding of how this server works. And as you can see, we've secured Lima. But I hope that gives you a bit of an understanding of the Hind. I definitely know there is some improvements that I can definitely make. Some settings that I do need to change as well. If you have any comments, anything that you want to input, anything you can teach new guys on the Hind with as well, like myself, don't hesitate in subscribing, liking, and just obviously commenting as well. Thank you very, very much for watching. Hope you have a fantastic day, and hear from you soon. Bye.